Okay, so for the second part of our drawing, we're going to finish it up. It's just going to look like this. And again, this is just an exercise in two-point drawing. You can make it look more finished, but we'll just get to this point. Okay, so we had this drawing. This is where we left off. Let's begin to break up those desks so that they actually look like two different desks and not just one big long brick. All right, so for this, and again, I want to reemphasize that this is a sketching, this is more of a sketching tutorial, not an actual technical drawing tutorial, okay? Just to help you understand that if you do an interior room, that there are some rules that apply and to apply them, but again, our points are way too close. They're going to distort our image, so we'll use them when we can. We'll have to disband from using them when, you know, it doesn't work. It's not going to be very helpful. All right, I'm going to delineate the opening here. When I look at my image, I think there's some sort of like paper holder, drawer, or cupboard area on the right and nothing on the left. So I'm going to make that opening. There is some sort of desk drawer top to it, and I'm going to go ahead and basically kind of see how the one goes down and the one, they fan out a little bit. I'm going to make sure my line is resting within that fanning. So see how my fingers, when I splay them out, I don't have one finger going higher up than the other. They're like rays. So I'm going to make sure that this line would work, you know, just like my fingers splay out like that, that it's not going to be too severe down or not. It has to ride between these two is what I'm saying, in an angle. So I'm going to bring mine all the way to the edge. And then I'm going to guess there's just some sort of filing here. I'm going to go ahead and erase my line. Any of these lines that cut through, you can see how it starts making it look like it's made out of glass. It's see-through. So we'll go ahead and erase those so that they won't look as see-through. Now, I've really carved my line so you can see it in the video. Excuse me. So I'll make them look much darker now because I'm going to keep those lines. And I just have that little opening. Now, there's the corner there. This probably takes up some space away from, you know, there's the thickness of the wood here, so I can go ahead and make it come out a little bit and erase that top line, make the bottom line look better. You can shade in there if you want. You don't have to, but okay, so I have the opening of my desk. I'm going to decide that the desk goes back about, let's see, I'll try to give you a better measurement. About 4 centimeters, just flat. If I go straight from my corner, right about here, 4 centimeters. Up and down. And I'm going to kind of keep them parallel. That's why I like see-through rulers, because you can see your lines. How does that look? Ah. What is wrong? I don't like this top line. That's what's wrong. I'm going to try to fix it a little bit. Okay. Feel free to move your lines around a little bit. Try to look at it and go, what went wrong there? Needs to be higher up or a little bit lower down. Okay. Oh, sorry about the wiggling. Stop. I have this contraption right between my two arms, so it's easy to bump it. Okay, now that's the first desk. The next desk, there's going to be a space between the two desks, and that'll go up and down. Let's see if that looks good. Yeah, it looks good. I'm kind of keeping these parallel, and then this is going to go straight up and down. And I can erase that line. It will begin to divide them up. Now, there is going to be a counter that really takes up most of the bottom of these desks. So I'm not going to worry about the bottom just yet. because again, this table is going to just take up all that space in the back. So I'm not going to really finish this back here because it's just going to get covered up. Okay, now let's talk about this table. We were talking earlier about how the fact that our points are very close to the edge, it's going to cause it to be incredibly distorted. So, excuse me. Let's draw our table in the center, and if we were to use our points specifically, the tabletop's going to look like a diamond. Here, it's going to look like a diamond, and the points are not going to line up right on top of each other. The one in the back is going to be further in the back, further to the right, and the one in the foreground is going to be further to the left. Anything that's in the foreground, what is in the foreground, whatever is closest to you, is going to be lower on the page. Okay, they call it hierarchy. If you were to go ahead and touch the first thing that if you walked in, what would you bump into first? That is actually lowest on the page. So I would probably, run into this corner and see how it's lowest on the page, and see how things, as they go into the background, they go higher up on the page, and that's called hierarchy. So this corner, we're going to make it rather low. So, and, I'm going to look at my picture just like I would if I were in this room to draw this room. I would say, well, it's about that far up from the bottom of my page, and I would look in proportion. It's a little bit out from the desk. If this line were to continue, it would be a little higher up on, it would hit that box if this line were to, so I'm going to go a little bit lower than that line. So here's that line here. I'm going to go a little bit, that line would come right about here. I'm going to go a little bit lower. Make my mark, and that's that corner that I would have bumped into. And then I will start at the top because I'm just going to draw the tabletop first. All right, again, I'm so sorry, our points are very skewed. We really just use them for the windows. And aim, so just like you do with the desk, just kind of aim to your left. And I'm going to let it run into the desk like I see in my photo. So it's going to cover up some of that desk. And because we were able nicely to use the right side of the paper with the point, for some reason it just works. I'm going to go ahead. Gosh, I think I'll go further. I'm going to go a little bit further in. I'm going to go ahead and use that right line. Ooh, and I can use the back corner. It goes almost all the way to the windows. And then I'll cut it off in the back. Okay, let's erase everything in our little tabletop so it doesn't look so see-through. I'm losing my eraser. Okay, I'm going to erase whatever's inside my desk because I don't want a see-through desk. And then I'll go ahead and sharpen up those lines. Okay, so I made that line here, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of keep them parallel. I might slant it up a little bit, but not much. And then chop this off vertically. Go to the back. And chop it off vertically in the back, although it already looks like it was sharing the line right there, so it already was done. But if it doesn't line up, just chop it off. Excuse me. Okay, so there's your magical floating tabletop. It almost also looks like a bed. If you were to make a bedroom, that would be how you do it. Okay, so 2 lines would go to the right, 2 lines would go to the left, and they do kind of ray out, like almost forming a little bit of a triangular angle. It's kind of angled. You know, they're not exactly straight, parallel. Okay, now what I'm going to do is start looking at this more like a still life. Excuse me, I've got a cold and I'm struggling. See the long, this is where you're going to pay attention to the rules, but you're going to now focus more like in a still life setting. So see how this, along this table line, actually let's go sideways so that we can see it a little better. If I were going to go from the edge of the table to the edge of the table, where along that line does this sprocket, this leg pop out? And it's a little more than half. So a little more than half is where I would bring my leg out, and I would look at the angle of the leg. So this is where I don't mind if you just ditch the ruler and just start putting in your lines. Look at the negative space below here. I don't know, what does it look like? If we were to make a think spot, it looks like there's a triangle in this little thing here. Sorry, it's late at night and I'm not really thinking very well. So I'm going up that corner to find the leg right about here. It's resting right in here. Coming out. And it's kind of coming down. It gets chopped off at the end of the page. I'm okay with that. And then I'm going to go ahead, and that line is almost parallel with the table. So my line is going to go parallel with the table. Okay. And then the table leg back here gets taken away by the chair, but it is somewhere in here, isn't it? So that chair it interrupts the table. I'm paying attention to the edge of the table, the edge of the chair. The edge of the chair comes out further than the table. And you don't need to look at the picture if you don't want to. You could watch this video, or you can go ahead and just look at the picture on your own and kind of decide. My table, oh boy, my chair kind of clashed. It worked out better on this one. It flowed better. Okay. My table is shorter. All right, you might run into this problem. I'm going to make my chair littler. That's okay. This is just to get you an idea. So they're obviously closer together than they are in the photo. Gosh, I don't want to spend all this time drawing while I'm talking, but the seat's parallel to the top. It curves in. Again, I'm making it thinner because I'm trying to squeeze it into this space. We're just using this as a photo reference. We're not using it as just a sketch. And I got that little box underneath. Pop the leg down. Call it good. There's some little mechanics under here. Good enough. Okay, so there's my my chair. Okay, so now let's go through and do the ceiling, and then we'll be done. So the ceiling has this kind of lattice work on it, and this I'm gonna actually use the points for, okay? Because we can. They're far enough away. So I'm gonna go to the left. And I'm going to make this tic-tac-toe up here. So to the point. And I'm going to make, oh boy, hold on. Let's make a little, just a little bit of that edge because there is a molding. Do you see the molding on the inside? Okay. So make a little bit of that molding. I'm attaching it to the left point, drawing it to the right. Doing the same on the other side. Molding. Okay, now, let's do that lattice work. Draw it light to begin with. So I have 2 lines. There will be 3 eventually, but I'll show you how to do that. Okay, there's 2. And then we'll 2 beams, and then we'll crisscross through those beams with just 1 beam. Okay, so they're gonna look like that. Now, what we're gonna do is, these beams are a little bit, they're thicker, right? So I'm going to start in this corner and make a little thickness here on the inside up here. I guess if that shows, go ahead and show it there. And then go to your point. And I made it thicker. Do you see how the beam's starting to look thick? Okay, so I'm going to go on the upper inside here. I've already done it here. I'm going to attach to the right side. And only where the beam would be showing. Like that. Does that make sense? Okay, and I'm going to reinforce my line so maybe you can see it a little bit better. Oh, I keep bumping that. I'm so sorry. There, can you see that better? Okay. And if you want to take out the intersection of lines so it looks like an actual beam that got glued together. Like that. Okay, so we'll do the other side. A little bit up here. Go to the other opposite point. And actually we can go ahead, let me do this. Let's go ahead and draw that upper line. And where the beam would cross through, you're not going to draw, you're going to stop. And then reinforce what looks. And you can darken it in. All right, so I'm going to make that molding on the top look doubled up. Molding oftentimes is just pieces of wood, ornate pieces of wood stacked one on top of the other. So you can always keep stacking little lines on top of one another, rounding them out, or however you think that the molding would have been carved. And now you have a pretty ornate look at the top. Okay, now if you wanted to add anything else in, like these little drippy doos, those are just, you just actually throw them in. They just kind of come out of nowhere. Boy, I hesitate to do it because I'm so tired. Let's see. Just kind of dripping it in. They got these kind of... This is the coolest office ever, I think. I'm going to end it. It's not exact, but they just kind of came out of nowhere, okay? So you could throw those in if you want. Again, the chairs and all these things, that's fine. I made you kind of do one, but what I really want to see is that you can throw in the 2 tables, the main table, and this lattice work. Try to get those in, and you're good, okay? So this is 2-point interior. It's a little bit tricky, I apologize, but I really want you to kind of get the gist of the fact that there's a point on either side and that your lines will it's almost like you're crisscrossing. You're using them as a reference, but they're actually recorded on the other side of the room, okay? So anything that goes in does that funky crisscross thing. Anything that comes out just goes to the to the point on that. So this goes to the right, this goes to the left, but the back is inverted. Okay. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye.